When I was 7 months pregnant and being tortured live in a remote, lawless borderland region, Marcus was at his childhood friend Summer's wedding, showering money around. I clutched my phone with a shattered screen, begging him to save me. But he just cursed me. "Grace, don't ruin Summer's special day." Later, the police asked him to identify my remains. He stared at the wedding ring he had given me, still on the bone, and suddenly went insane. But he would never know that the last thing I saw clearly was the diamond ring he put on his childhood friend's finger, the one that should have been mine. In the humid tropical forest, I leaned on my swollen belly, gasping for breath. In the distance, the beam of a flashlight cut through the night. Someone was chasing me. I didn't care about the heavy chain around my neck, my fingers trembling. I dialed Marcus's number for the 33rd time, a busy signal. "I'm sorry, the number you dialed cannot be reached temporarily. Please try again later." A large dog suddenly barked wildly in the distance, followed by a flashlight beam sweeping over my head. "Stay alert, that woman must be nearby. She's pregnant. She can't run far. Several people in the background have already messaged us asking for prices. Catch her, and the money we make will be enough for us to have fun for days." My heart was almost enveloped by despair. Gritting my teeth, I ran desperately, refusing to give up, and dialed Marcus's number again. Beep, beep, beep. "Hello?" The call finally connected. Marcus's low, hoarse voice came through the phone receiver. My eyes welled up. "Marcus, I've been sold to a remote, lawless borderland region. They said they're going to kill me on a dark web live stream." Before I could finish, Marcus interrupted me. He let out a long, impatient sigh. "There you go again. Grace, if what you're saying is true, why don't you call the police? You can't even make up a decent lie. I'm really tired. I don't have time to play games with you. Summer is getting married today. Wouldn't it be better if you just stayed home? Why do you always have to be so manipulative and ruin things?" His indifference was like a splash of ice water, dousing my last flickering hope and excitement. Right? How could I forget? In his heart, I was no longer the Grace he once loved so devotedly. Ever since his childhood friend returned to the country, his heart had completely turned towards Summer. He gradually started staying out all night, and his attitude towards me grew colder. When he occasionally came home, he would voluntarily sleep in the home office. When it was time for my prenatal checkup, I called and begged him to come with me, but it was his secretary who answered, telling me that Summer had a fever and Marcus was with her, getting in for drip. I cried. I protested, but all I got in return was his increasing impatience. "Grace, can you stop being so jealous? Summer is Daniel's girlfriend now. Daniel is always traveling abroad for work. I'm just looking after her for him." He didn't even notice I had been missing for 5 days. Before, I could still tell myself not to dwell on it, but now, if I didn't fight, I would die. My voice was thick with tears. "Marcus, I'm really not lying to you. I didn't call the police because cross-border investigations take too long. Don't you have a lot of friends here in the remote, lawless borderland region? I'm begging you, please ask your friends to come save me quickly. I don't want to be tortured to death." There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line. Soon, Marcus's slightly indifferent voice came through. "Grace, I can't talk right now. Summer and Daniel's wedding is about to begin. Give me half an hour. I'll give you an answer in 30 minutes. Tears blurred my vision. I couldn't believe it. My dearest husband was now abandoning me for his brother's fiancée. No matter how I screamed, he would only believe what he wanted to believe. "Marcus, I'm really not lying. If you don't like me, we can get a divorce, but you can't abandon our child." I pleaded desperately, a metallic taste of blood rising in my throat. The night forest was damp and stifling, making it hard for me to breathe. After running so far, my feet were already covered in blisters. The blisters had burst, and pus mixed with blood soaked the soles of my feet. Every step felt like walking on steel needles. My face was pale from the pain, and I bit down hard to keep from crying out. "Grace, what are you talking about?" Marcus's voice rose, and I could already picture him frowning. "How could I divorce you? You'll always be Mrs. Hayes, all right, really. Stop making a fuss. When I get back, I'll bring you the dress and bag you like." With that, he hung up the phone directly. I froze. My heart felt like it was pierced by countless steel needles, the pain so intense I couldn't breathe. A tree vine tripped me, and soon, a stranger's large hand reached out abruptly, lifting me entirely. "You stinking bitch, you run pretty fast. Just wait until I get you back and give you a proper beating." I closed my eyes in despair. "Marcus, this time, it's truly goodbye. I was locked in a basement. The black hood over my head was removed, and the stark white light in front of me stung my eyes, bringing tears. After my eyes adjusted to the glare, I finally saw my surroundings. The room was set up with professional photography and lighting equipment. A tall man wearing a mask started the live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, today's prey is a young and beautiful pregnant woman on the phone screen. Comments scrolled by rapidly. Today's product is good. It'll be interesting to torment her. Her belly is so big. She must be 6 or 7 months pregnant, right? The fetus must be fully formed. I wonder if it will survive if it's taken out. I looked at the cruel words in the comments, trembling uncontrollably. Please don't kill me. My husband is the second young master of Hayes. He's very rich. I can ask him to give you money, okay? It'll definitely be more than you can earn from the live stream. My teeth chattered as I suppressed my fear and pleaded with the masked man. The man laughed and translated my words into English for the comments. The comments paused for a moment, then quickly started scrolling again. Marcus, the second son of the multinational Hayes. So this woman is actually his wife? That makes it even more interesting. Ha ha ha. Your husband must be a loser, so rich yet he can't protect his own wife. No, maybe your husband sold you here. Ha ha ha. She's so pretty. Let's start by ruining her face. Use a red-hot branding iron. Host, don't hold back. Don't worry, the money will be there. The masked man looked at me with a hint of pity. Fool, who do you think watches these live streams? The people who tip generously don't lack money. They just want the thrill. You'd better pray your husband is watching this live stream. If he tips enough, I might give you a quick death. The masked man raised a glowing red branding iron and walked towards me with a sinister grin. The scorching metal touched my face, and my flesh instantly sizzled. I screamed out loud. In the lounge, Summer had already finished the wedding ceremony. She had changed into a red evening gown that accentuated her curves. Marcus, I found a live stream. Look at this woman. Doesn't she look a little like Grace? Marcus sat drunkenly in a corner, pouring himself another drink. He was quite drunk. Hearing's voice, he pulled her into a hug. Summer, haven't I been good enough to you? Why did you have to marry Daniel? Is it just because he'll inherit the family fortune? Summer leaned against him, annoyed, and pinched him. Marcus, you have the nerve to say that. I only went abroad for 5 years, and you actually got hooked and married a dead woman from an orphanage, you scumbag. Marcus instinctively frowned, his drunken voice slurring in defense. Grace didn't hook me. She's a good person. She's just been a bit dramatic lately, but I genuinely loved her. Summer's face immediately darkened. My piercing scream suddenly echoed from the phone. Marcus jolted, instinctively looking at the phone screen on the live stream. A heavily pregnant woman was strapped into an electric chair. Her hair was disheveled, and her face was brutally burned by a branding iron. She whimpered and screamed, blood foam spilling from the corner of her mouth. It looked like several of her teeth had been pulled out. Marcus felt nauseous watching it and bent over to retch Summer. Why are you watching such gory things? This woman is terrifying, truly disgusting. Summer smiled playfully. You know me, Marcus. I just like watching horror stuff. This live stream is too amateurish, not thrilling at all. I should send a gift. Marcus's stomach churned with acid. Leaning on his drunken state, he snuggled against Summer, kissing and nuzzling her. Summer, today's your big day. Don't watch these unlucky things. Summer scoffed softly. I'm not your wife. You can't tell me what to do. Marcus felt a pang in his heart. He grabbed a bottle from the table and gulped down another mouthful. All right, your happiness is priceless. Tip away, I'll pay for it. Soon, a large tip of 1 million appeared in the live stream chat. Crimson Spectre. Her belly is so big, it's disgusting. Cut the spawn out of her belly. Both mother and child must live. The masked man received the tip and immediately beamed with joy. He walked out of the room and returned with a medical kit, scalpels, tweezers, alcohol, sutures, everything was there. The masked man lowered the chair back. Laying me flat, he lifted my clothes and drew a dotted cross on my swollen belly. Even in my dazed state, I realized what he was about to do. I struggled to open my swollen eyelids, pleading in a hoarse voice, please, don't hurt my baby. He's so small. He hasn't even had a chance to open his eyes and see the world. I beg you, please let me give birth to him safely. You can do whatever you want with me after I've delivered him. I struggled relentlessly, and the wounds on my face and in my mouth tore open again. Blood dripped, staining the ground red. The masked man remained unfazed. He put on white gloves and gave me an anesthetic injection. I gradually became unable to move. The sharp instrument cut into my skin, and the sensation clearly registered in my mind. I stared wide-eyed at the ceiling, blood flowing into my eyes, mixing with tears as it slid down my temples. The comments scrolled rapidly. Performing an open abdomen surgery in an unsanitized environment. This live stream is too bloody. I bet this woman won't make it past today, among the many evil comments. I saw someone with the username Crimson Spectre post a message. After this brat is taken out, if it's still alive, I'll buy it and raise it like a dog. Tears streamed down my face. At that moment, I truly understood what hell was. I was not reconciled. I had done nothing wrong, and my child had done nothing wrong. Why should we be trampled and tormented by these inhuman monsters, treated as mere entertainment? In an instant, I found a surge of strength from somewhere. I lifted my leg and kicked the man holding the scalpel away. Picking up the knife from the chair, I cut the straps binding me. My abdomen was already cut open, and blood poured out like water from an open floodgate with my movements. Like a madwoman, I wielded the knife, wildly slashing and hacking at the masked man. You beasts. You destroy lives like this. You'll get your retribution eventually. Summer, who was watching the live stream, instinctively frowned, a look of disgust on her face. Marcus, this woman is terrifying. Is she mentally unstable? Marcus also felt deeply uncomfortable watching. He covered Summer's eyes. Are you scared? Give me the phone. Let's just end her misery. Summer's eyes flickered. She tapped on the screen a few times before handing the phone to Marcus. In the live stream basement, several strong men rushed in and finally subdued me. They forced me back into the electric chair and bound my limbs tightly. Why is there so much blood? We'll have to clean up again. Just finish it quickly. Don't rush. Someone just tipped $1 million. Let me see what they want. My body temperature rapidly dropped, and I stared blankly at the phone screen, seeking grace. I'm tired of watching. Kill her. If the brat in her belly can be saved, then save it. Consider it a good deed. The masked man was still debating whether to continue the caesarean section when a live stream assistant reminded him. Seeking Grace and Crimson Spectre are the same account. They just changed their username. The masked man was completely relieved. He pulled out his knife, ready to finish me off. But I stared blankly at the phone screen. Seeking Grace, that's my husband's account username. After the days came extreme heartbreak. I spat out a mouthful of blood and laughed wretchedly. So the one who wanted to kill me was you. Mark, I didn't have time to finish my words before the masked man plunged a knife into my throat. Blood splattered. I opened my mouth, and the world before my eyes gradually blurred, before my consciousness completely faded. I saw the comments on the screen suddenly begin to scroll wildly. Wait, stop. How does she know my account username is this too? Is her name Grace? I told you to stop. Stop. With my death, the live stream ended, and the screen turned completely black. Marcus sobered up completely. His hand trembled as he held his phone. His face as pale as paper. No. It must be a coincidence. How could that woman be Grace? Grace lives in a mansion, with bodyguards and household staff watching over her. Impossible, impossible. Marcus forced himself to calm down. He finally found my number in his contacts and called me. After 45 seconds of ringing, the call was automatically disconnected. Marcus gritted his teeth and persistently dialed again. After the 6th failed call, he shot up from his seat, ready to go look for me. Summer grabbed his hand, refusing to let go. Marcus, today is my wedding. Didn't you promise to stay with me through the entire ceremony? Seeing determined to leave in a daze, Summer bit her lip. Annoyed, Marcus, don't worry. Grace must be fine. She just updated her social media posts. She pulled out her phone to show him. The screen showed that I had updated a social media post 5 minutes ago. Thinking of divorce, going out for a walk. The accompanying photo was a side profile of me. In the picture, I was sitting in a seat in the airport lounge, sunlight casting gently on my face, making me look soft and calm. In the bottom right corner of the photo, a man's knee was visible. A sling bag was resting on his knee, revealing my face mask and travel pillow. Grace probably just boarded her flight. That's why she didn't hear your call. Marcus's eyes instantly reddened. He sped home, running every red light. The house was empty. Only a set of divorce papers lay on the table. Marcus stared fixedly at the divorce papers, then violently kicked over the sofa, grabbing the divorce papers and tearing them to shreds like a madman. Grace, you are truly something. I worried myself sick over you, and you want to divorce me. Without my permission, you can forget about it. Summer, who had followed him home, jumped in fright. She coaxed Marcus softly. "It's all my fault. Grace is just angry you didn't stay with her today. Didn't stay with her. I've pampered her so much she's taking advantage of me." Marcus's chest heaved with anger. He pulled out his WhatsApp and sent me a message. "If you're going to leave, then leave for good. Take your kept man with you. Don't you dare come back." Consumed by rage, he blocked all my contact information. However, Marcus didn't notice that the table where the divorce papers were placed hadn't been cleaned for days, covered in a thin layer of dust. And he seemed to have forgotten that the photo I updated on my social media posts was clearly taken by him 3 years ago. I died. The baby in my belly was taken out. It was a girl. My daughter was tiny and fragile, her cries like a cat's. Everyone said she wouldn't survive. Summer lost interest in keeping her and told the live stream crew to dispose of her. Those people, being lazy, carelessly discarded my daughter outside the outskirts of the slum. Martha, the old woman with a limp who cleaned the outskirts of the slum, took pity on my daughter and secretly took her home. As a wandering spirit, I could only watch helplessly as my daughter, who should have been cherished, grew up with difficulty in an impoverished neighborhood because of malnutrition. She was skin and bones. My heart ached beyond measure. Yet I could do nothing. Perhaps it was the bond of blood, for years later, Marcus flew to this place for work, as he was with Summer, taking photos at popular tourist spots. He suddenly felt a tug at his clothes. Marcus looked down and saw his dirty, thin daughter. "Grandma is sick, uncle. Can you give Lily some money for medicine? Lily can bark like a little dog. Woof woof, woof woof." My daughter was wearing an oversized short-sleeved shirt that reached her knees, her body filthy and gaunt. Marcus's heart inexplicably skipped a beat. A hint of pity flashed in his eyes. Just as he was about to pull out money, Summer pressed down on his wallet. "She's disgusting. Stay away from her." "I feel a bit nauseous." Marcus quickly patted her back. "Are you okay? Be careful with the baby." "Hey Emph, what does the baby in my belly have to do with you?" "This is Daniel's and my IVF baby." Marcus smiled dotingly, gently stroking Summer's belly with his large hand. "Don't lie to me. If we hadn't gotten drunk 3 months ago, how would this child exist?" Summer touched her lower abdomen, a blush of happiness on her face. "Naughty. Don't talk about that in public." I knew Marcus had completely forgotten about me. Over the past 4 years, my WhatsApp account had frequently updated social media posts. The backgrounds in the photos were sometimes blue skies, white clouds, and beaches, and sometimes luxury restaurants or art galleries. My figure was always seen with a man, inseparable. Anyone who saw it would think that I, Mrs. Hayes, was truly reckless, finding a kept man and completely humiliating Marcus. Marcus thought so too. In a fit of rage, he froze all my bank accounts. Countless times, he called my number, but all he got was a cold, busy signal, until one late night, the call was unexpectedly answered. "Hello?" A deep male voice came from the other end. Marcus's surprised expression hadn't even faded before his sanity crumbled. He loudly demanded to know who the other person was and told me to get on the phone immediately. The man on the other end chuckled. "She's in too much pain. She's sleeping very soundly right now." Marcus froze for a moment, after belatedly understanding the meaning of those words. He was completely enraged. His eyes were bloodshot, like a mad lion. He smashed and threw things around the house. He packed all the items related to me into the yard and burned them to ashes, after got into a car accident and his legs were permanently disabled. Marcus completely abandoned all sense of propriety and started having an affair with Summer. My daughter watched their happy and loving scene, her eyes nearly overflowing with envy. If Mommy and Daddy were here too, Lily could eat until she was full. She sniffled, her eyes red. Summer looked annoyed, but then she caught my daughter's eyes, which were almost identical to mine, and paused. She bent down and gently stroked my daughter's head. "Of course I can give you money, but little girl, if you want money, you don't have to bark like a dog. You can just do me a favor, okay?" My daughter's eyes lit up. "Okay, I'll definitely get the necklace back for you." "Auntie," my daughter gathered her courage and walked towards the group of thugs. "See, can you please give Auntie her necklace back?" A thug, smoking a cigarette, kicked her away. "Get lost, you stinking beggar. Don't stand here blocking the way." My daughter tumbled a few times, hitting her face on a roadside rock. Blood flowed from her mouth, and she was in so much pain she was almost crying, but she bravely got back up. "Please, give Auntie her necklace back. It's wrong to steal." The thugs got annoyed with my daughter and started punching and kicking her. you parentless brat. How dare you act wild in front of your grandpas? My daughter was beaten black and blue, sobbing, no, I'm not a parentless wild child. Grandma said my mommy is Grace. And my daddy's last name is Hayes. He's the second young master of Hayes. My daughter's heartbreaking cries carried far and wide. The thugs continued to mock her. Ha 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 ha. That's ridiculous. If you really had such a rich daddy, why would he abandon you here? He must not want you anymore. Woo woo. Daddy didn't abandon me. Grandma said mommy was captured and killed here. Daddy surely didn't know. He must be looking for us everywhere. Marcus froze. Summer's face suddenly turned incredibly grim. She gritted her teeth, forcing a smile. Impossible. Marcus, Hayes is too famous. That little girl's grandma must have just said that to comfort her about having parents. Before she could finish, Marcus's phone rang. He frowned and walked aside to answer it. Hello, is this Mr. Marcus? I'm the captain of the Riverton investigation. We recently cracked a major transnational case involving illegal human trafficking and the live-streamed torture and murder of victims. Marcus had a bad feeling. What does that have to do with me? The police officer on the other end took a deep breath. According to the criminal's confessions, your wife, Grace, was one of the victims. She was tortured to death during a live stream 4 years ago. We have excavated what we believe to be the victim's remains, but the fetus in her abdomen is missing. We need you to come to the police station to identify the remains. Splat! The phone fell straight to the ground. Marcus sharply turned his head and saw my daughter's frail little face beneath her messy hair. Her clear, bright eyes were just like mine. His eyes instantly turned bloodshot. He rushed over like a madman, swinging a stick and knocking down all the thugs. Marcus trembled as he picked up my daughter. Seeing her covered in blood, he screamed at Summer. What are you standing there for? Call an ambulance. Call an ambulance. In the hospital hallway, Marcus squatted despondently against the wall, his hands clasped over his head. The DNA test results showed that Lily was indeed his daughter. She was his and Grace's biological child. What had he been doing all these years? What had he, this irresponsible husband and father, been doing all these years? Recalling the phone call from the detective, Marcus suddenly felt dizzy, as if a knife had been plunged into his body, tearing at his flesh and grinding his bones. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He gasped for air, like a fish thrown onto land, dying. How could Grace be dead? How could she just die like that? So for all these years, who had been impersonating Grace, updating social media posts? Who had been answering his calls to Grace? Marcus trembled all over, struggling to get up from the ground, his eyes bloodshot like a demon that had crawled out of hell. Summer was startled by him. Marcus, what's wrong? I know you're sad, but please pull yourself together. It's my fault too. I shouldn't have made you come here with me otherwise. We wouldn't have discovered this child as your bloodline. And really, it's one thing to disappear for so many years without a word, but how could she give birth to a child and abandon it in a dreadful place like this? Marcus, I know you still can't let go of Grace. Don't blame me for being harsh, but she was too selfish. How could she abandon her own flesh and blood? Shut up. Marcus stared intently at her, his voice hoarse. Grace is dead. The police called me. She was murdered 4 years ago. Summer was startled by the coldness in his eyes and recoiled a step, forcing a stiff smile. You're kidding me, right? Grace was updating her social media posts just a few days ago. How could she be dead? The emergency room door finally opened, and my daughter was wheeled out. Marcus immediately rushed over. When he saw my daughter's pale face and closed eyes on the hospital bed, he could no longer hold back and burst into tears. The doctor pulled him away. Are you the patient's father? She has so many injuries on her body. How are you looking after her? Do you know 3 of her ribs are broken, and her spleen almost ruptured? If she hadn't been brought in relatively quickly, she wouldn't have survived. Marcus opened his mouth, then silently lowered his head, letting tears of regret well in his eyes. Doctor, don't blame him. It's just that Lily is such a kind child. She insisted on helping me and ended up offending someone. Summer feigned wiping away tears. She thought that defending Marcus would win his favor, but instead, she was suddenly slapped across the face, her head snapping to the side. Yes, it's all your fault. If you hadn't lied to Lily, telling her those thugs stole your necklace, how could she have been beaten like this? Summer, I was completely blindly foolish before to actually think your despicable little tricks were innocent and cute. You're not cute. You're absolutely vicious. Marcus cast a cold glance at her, ignored her, and followed my daughter's hospital bed as it was wheeled away. Summer sat on the ground, her face stinging. Tears welled in her eyes from indignation. Marcus, we've been childhood friends for so many years. And I'm still not as important as some brat who just showed up. You bastard. The future Hayes family fortune belongs only to my child. Grace, that bitch, doesn't deserve to touch it. And the brat she spawned deserves it even less. Her face filled with resentment. She scrambled up from the ground and dialed a number. Hello, it's me. I need you to get rid of another child for me. Because of Marcus's continued absence, the police arrived at the hospital. The phone screen displayed the live stream recording of my torture and murder from 4 years ago. In the footage, I was heavily pregnant, covered in blood from the torment, my screams piercing. A tipped comment flashed across the screen, revealing blatant malice. Crimson Spectre, her belly is so big. It's disgusting. Cut the spawn out of her belly. Both mother and child must live. Marcus's pupils constricted in despair. He bit his tongue, trembling uncontrollably. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of bright red blood. He remembered everything. It turned out he had personally watched the live stream of my torture and death, and had even tipped. Marcus remembered the desperate call I had made to him at that time. What had he said then? He said Grace was acting, that he had to stay with Summer through the wedding ceremony, that he didn't have time. How desperate Grace must have been then, with her big belly. He deserved to die. He deserved to die. Marcus's eyes were bloodshot, as if self-tormenting. He dragged the progress bar back and forth, repeatedly watching the comments on the live stream. All these people deserved to die. He would make every one of those vermin hiding in the darkness go to hell to be buried with Grace. As the live stream neared its end, Marcus saw a familiar comment flash across the screen. Seeking Grace. I'm tired of watching. Kill her. If the brat in her belly can be saved, then save it. Consider it a good deed. And on the screen, after I saw that comment, I gave a tragic smile. So, the one who wanted to kill me was you. Marcus's legs gave out, and he collapsed to the ground. Large tears rolled down his face. He punched the ground, his heart aching almost to the point of suffocation. Mr. Hayes, our technical team has found that the account with the highest tip during the live stream belonged to Ms. Summer. Later, the account username changed, and the username and tone matched yours. Do you have anything else to say? The detective looked at Marcus coldly and pulled out a pair of handcuffs. It was that bitch Summer. It must have been her doing. She must have known all along that it was Grace. Marcus clutched his phone, looking at the paused image of my miserable state before my death, and cried out in agony, Officer, please give me some time. I will use all the power of the Hayes family to get to the bottom of this and avenge my Grace. The doctor suddenly pushed open the door and rushed in. Marcus, your daughter is missing. I don't understand why, when I was alive. Marcus grew increasingly perfunctory towards me, but after I truly died, he went mad with grief for me, barking with bloodshot eyes like a stray dog without a master. Using the Hayes family's connections, he managed to get into the outskirts of the slum first. When he found our daughter, she was being thrown into a freshly dug pit in the ground. Summer stood by the edge of the pit, her face cold and malicious. Bury this brat quickly, so she doesn't try to steal the inheritance from the baby in my belly. How could you people mess this up? Didn't I tell you to kill this brat back then? You let her go. Do you know how much trouble you've caused me? Do this discreetly this time. Don't end up like the others, caught by the police. My daughter lay in the pit, weakly opening her eyes, only to have a handful of dirt thrown in her face. She started crying, trying to climb out, but Summer kicked her back down. Brat, go die like your mother. She laughed viciously, her face truly demonic. When arrived, this was the scene he witnessed. Summer, stop it. He rushed forward like a madman, plunging a knife into Summer, who was standing by the pit. Blood splattered, instantly staining Summer's dress red. She turned, meeting Marcus's eyes, which were filled with hatred and madness. Bitch, I thought you only knew about it back then and didn't report it. I never imagined Grace's death was also your doing. And now you dare harm my daughter? I'll kill you. Summer winced in pain, sweating cold. She covered her wound and fled in a hurry. No, Marcus. Listen to me. Calm down. I'm pregnant with our baby, but could no longer hear a single word. He chased after her, kicking Summer to the ground, tears of blood streaming from his eyes. Bitch, when you killed my Grace back then, did you ever consider that she was also 7 months pregnant and about to become a mother? You made her suffer so much before she died. You are an inhuman monster. I'm going to make you and the spawn in your belly buried with grace." Summer shrieked in fear, calling out to the thugs. "What are you standing there for? Help me. Save me." Bang! A gunshot rang out. Marcus froze, looked down, and saw a burst of bright red blood blooming on his chest. Blood welled in his throat as he fell to the ground. Unwilling, he struggled to crawl towards his daughter. "Lily, it's Daddy. It's Daddy." Amidst my daughter's cries, police sirens wailed. Marcus lay on the ground, completely still, without a breath. The detectives and local police drove in together, surrounding the criminals. "Don't move. Hands up." When was handcuffed and escorted to the police car, she was still shouting, "I'm pregnant with the only heir to the Hayes. I'm a pregnant woman. You have to let me go." But when she was taken to the hospital for medical attention and found that the baby she was carrying had long been lost due to Marcus's stab, she fainted on the spot soon after. The Hayes family publicly announced that it had been confirmed that their eldest son's car accident was linked to Summer, and Marcus's death was inextricably tied to her as well. They even stated that I had died at her hands. The family patriarch was furious and hired the most professional legal team to prosecute Summer. This news, once it spread online, immediately caused an uproar. After countless netizens learned of my ordeal, they furiously condemned Summer and Marcus, calling their conflict infighting. Under the scrutiny of public opinion, the case progressed exceptionally quickly. 6 months later, Summer's murder trial began. Summer was involved in multiple murder-for-hire cases, and given the heinous nature of her crimes, she was sentenced to death. The criminals involved in a remote, lawless borderland region were also secretly executed. Dozens of those who hid behind their screens in the live-streamed chat, reveling in the torture and murder of others, were identified and given severe sentences, intended to set an example. The family suffered a significant blow from this scandal, but ultimately, they were deeply rooted and still own numerous businesses. The daughter was brought back to the Hayes family by the Hayes patriarch, meticulously taught and groomed to be the family's heir. After the elderly woman who adopted her passed away, she gradually came to understand the meaning of death. My daughter placed my photo by her bedside, and every morning, she would dutifully greet me, looking like a mature little adult, but I knew that late at night, when everything was quiet, she would always hug her rabbit doll and cry in secret, "Mommy, I miss you so much." I was heartbroken for her, so I could only lie beside her and gently caress her small face with a hand she couldn't see. The day Summer died in prison, the knot that had been weighing on my heart for years finally unraveled. I stood in the sunlight, my soul gradually dissipating. At that moment, my daughter seemed to see me and ran towards me, crying, "Mommy, Mommy, don't go." I bent down and held her, gently and with regret. My fragmented soul transformed into a wisp of clear breeze, blowing past her fair, plump cheeks. "I'm sorry, my dear child. Mommy has to go now. This life was too bitter. In the next life, Mommy will definitely be there to watch you grow up properly."